I don't like it. And she's like, hey, my broker doesn't really like it, but I'm willing to try. And I'm like, great. So the property, this was after her first property. I never saw this property, and she found it, she analyzed it, and I had several people lined up. So what happens is these agents really enjoy working with us because, like I said earlier, it's not the one-time profit. Like, it becomes, we're their income. And so the better we work together, which is why I'm like, you gotta like them. Like them, get along with them. If you don't like them, just don't even keep talking to them. Find somebody you like, because that's what's going to work best. So step 2 of the 5 is analyze the deals. So this is the deal analyzer software I'm talking about. It's a 60-second analysis to tell us whether it's a deal or a dud and exactly how much to offer. This is what it looks like. I don't have it filled out fully. So what we do is right here, the agent will go and estimate the after repair value and what we can sell a property for. Then they'll also estimate how much repairs they think cost, and then they'll, right here where it says our price, they'll just put in what it's listed at. So that gives us a baseline. That gives us kind of a baseline of our numbers, and then we'll go down here to the ARV goal, after repair value goal, and the ARV goal on this deal. And this is an Excel spreadsheet, and it auto-calculates all this for us. These percentages are not happening right now. We're more at like 80 to 90%. Does anybody know what investors are paying up here? Last I heard it was like 90%. Do you know? Okay. So what happens is we get a vibe for what investors in this market are buying at, and then we shoot for that. So let's say up here, I would say ARV goal would be 85%. And then, so what it would tell me, we'll go off this so you guys can understand the concept and how quick and easy it is. So on this particular deal, our goal was 65%. So what that tells the agent instantly is this deal is 60%, we can go up. So it's listed at 240 in the MLS. She would literally take this number and play with it until it hits 65%. So she would take it and play with it until it said 245, 246, 247, whatever it did to his 65%. So that's part of how we get our offers accepted is we don't go in, we don't lowball. We go in, we offer our highest and best. We're interested in getting the property. We're not looking to mess around. So many other investors go in and they try and save a couple $1,000s and then they get no deals. I would rather do 10 deals and make a little bit off each deal and make 10 investors happy and 10 agents happy and make the bank, make everybody happy and myself make a little bit less money, but technically my business is significantly bigger, right? So we always go in and offer our highest and best, and it makes it really easy also. If a bank comes back or a seller comes back and they want to counter, my answer is no. Like, I don't need to rethink numbers. Like, I've calculated, and if typically on something like this, if our ARV goal is 65%, what I'm thinking is in this neighborhood, investors are paying 70%. So that 5% is the leeway for my assignment fee. So like when you were asking about, is it fair market value? I know investors are paying 70% in this neighborhood, 70% in this market. So if I go in and offer 65% on everything, I know there's a little bit of an area for me to make some cash.
So what does your ARV stand for? What's
after repair value. So what it's worth once it's fixed up. So then that tells us how much the investor would make, which is right here.
65% of what?
Of the calculation of the price we can sell it for minus the repairs.
Okay.
So it calculates all the expenses.
So did you make that, or did you purchase
I had a friend make this for me because I'm not good at math. And I needed to do it. When I was transitioning out of being the agent and wanting to hire a team of agents, I was like teaching them how to be able to crunch numbers quickly, and I'm like, we just need to be able to throw 3 numbers in. Throw those 3 numbers in and be like, great. And all we do is go up or down from this, which is what makes it really easy when stuff's listed on the MLS There are properties we go way over list price for, and then there's properties we go way under list price. List price has absolutely no value or meaning to us. List price, what a property is listed at, is one person's opinion on what it should be sold for. One person. That has, I don't care. I don't care about their opinion, I care about my opinion. And this is what I can sell it for, and this is how much I need to invest, and every investor is different. So when you guys talk to the investors, and we haven't gotten to that part yet, the investor will tell you exactly what their qualifications are. I need to make X amount of money. Some will say I need to make 6 figures. No matter what, I need to make 100 grand. Some will say no matter what, I need to make 10% of what I invest. Some will say I need to make, 70% of this. So they actually give you literally on a silver platter exactly what you need to do, and then you just take that information and you give it to the agent. And then that's how we secure stuff. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of my favorite things. This is what allows me to go on vacation and be hands-off, because the agents, it makes it easy for the agents. I would say in the beginning the agents were like, how much do I offer? And I'm like, I don't know your market, how much do you offer, and so it keeps it really like, the numbers are the numbers. And what's beautiful is the MLS has everything that's sold. So this is another thing that is great when you're working with us is agents are trying to sell residential real estate, and what they don't really use the tools that they have access to. So the MLS has everything that's sold. So one of the first things we do in any market, we go into the MLS and we see what sold for the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. We see what sold and what the specifics were. We go specifically to look at the cash transactions, and then we can even run these numbers. So we can be like, hey, look, this was an investor flip. It sold for $550. Okay, great. Look at all the upgrades they put. Can we find it before they flipped it? And then we'll go and we'll try and find that exact property, and we can usually find it, having been bought 3 to 6 months earlier, and then we can see, oh, look it, they paid $240 for it. And then we look at the pictures of the before and afters, and we're like, okay, the kitchen had already been redone, so they didn't upgrade the kitchen, but they upgraded the floors, the paint, the landscaping, and all the bathrooms. So I'm going to estimate that they paid 50 grand in repairs. So based on this, I can see that the investor paid probably around, their numbers were around 65%. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually take, all the information is in the MLS. And so that's what gives us a baseline in every market as to what to target for, is everything's already in the MLS. And so then we just go and we'll try and pull 5 or 6 properties and see what the numbers were, because there's always going to be one really high and really low, and you don't use those, you use kind of what the majority of people are using.
With your agents that go in and get an idea of repairs, how long would you say it takes them, if they aren't familiar with estimating repairs, for them to kind of get their head around that? Is that a difficult part of the game?
So every area is a little different. We do a couple things, and this is where I'm really like I am with you guys. I work with the agent and I flow with what's best for them. So some areas we do $1 per square foot. Like we know in 500,000 or less, on average it takes $18 a square foot to redo the house. This neighborhood is a lot more expensive, so we're going to put higher grade materials in there. This one's going to be $25 a square foot, and we'll just tell the agent a number like that, and then they can calculate it on 1,200 square feet, 1,500 square feet, if it's a total gut. If there's only a few repairs, I'll do a couple things. I'll either give them a tentative price sheet on what things cost, and some other agents like to be really hands-on, and they're like, I don't want your price sheet and I don't want your dollars per square foot, and they'll actually meet with contractors and they'll walk the properties together, and the contractor will say, to redo this kitchen is this much, to just paint the kitchen and redo the countertops is this much, and they'll kind of give them a breakdown so that the agent becomes more educated. And I totally let the agents do whatever they want. Some like to be more educated and some just want the numbers. So I feel like They get to do what they feel comfortable and happy doing.
When you were starting, like, you know, doing this stuff, how long did it take until you felt pretty comfortable just, like, knowing the repair things instead of, like, having a deal happen right out of it and being like, oh, well, obviously it was good because the deal happened, but, like, was there an amount of time until you felt pretty good about it, or?
I'm gonna say doing probably 2 to 3 deals in an area. When I take on a new area, I get nervous too. When the price point goes up a lot, like I was working in an area I didn't know a year ago, and it was a couple $1 million property, I started going, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Am I right? Are these numbers good? This is a lot of money. And that one I was keeping for myself and flipping. So I don't wholesale all of them. What I do is the ones that are the really best numbers I actually keep and for myself, and I flip because it's fun and there's more money in them that way. So it's literally like I'm my own wholesaler and I get to cherry pick the very best deals. So yeah, like I still get nervous.
Okay.
But after I've been in an area and I know it, a few deals, and I'm like, okay, I'm really confident because I know the area. But yeah, it's nervous. I'm still nervous going into new areas because new area, new agent, I'm still like, are they right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, right? So yeah, I think it's like with anything we do, the more we do it, the more comfortable we get. And at first, it's always really scary, right? Like that's like everything.
Which area do you know, I mean, do you have a criteria for areas you work in, like, or do you do San Diego to San Francisco?
So the most north I go right now is pretty much Redlands. I have been going a lot higher, and it doesn't work for me. I like being comfortable. So I grew up in Redlands. I know that area really well. They're old historical homes, very similar to like Santa Barbara. So they're easy to fix up. People love them. And then I'm down in Temecula, which I love. It's also like amazing to fix and flip. And San Diego I like too. So that's kind of my spot. I was a lot bigger and I didn't like it, so I personally myself narrowed down. And a lot of that has to do with like my lifestyle. Like I got engaged, and when we were dating, I literally was here, I spoke, I met him, and I'm like, I'm not speaking anymore. Because I was on the road like 2 weeks a month, and it's like, yeah, I was doing deals remotely, but it is more challenging, and it's hard to have a personal relationship. But that's what's great about this, is like you guys can decide how much money you want to make. You know, like if I want to make more money, I do more deals, like expand my territory, you know, like so it's really totally up to you. Like you're in 100% control with this.
And it's changeable.
Totally, yeah. And you can take it to other states. I know a friend of mine actually is living in Mexico right now, and she's doing deals in Florida and Arizona. So it's really like all yours to play with.
I have a question. You said on the trust, for instance, setting up a trust, how much labor goes into setting up a trust if you had 3 deals in a month and they all needed a trust?
So that's a really good question, because trust, I don't know about you guys, but for me when I first heard it, it sounded really scary, and it sounded really big, and it sounded really expensive, and I didn't like any of those things. So the trust that I used was created by my attorney who's in Southern California, so you guys have the benefit of using the same one, because people from out of state, every state's different. It's a Word document. Trying to think, I think it's 1 or 2 pages. And once you have that one, that's all you need. Because then nothing changes in the trust except for the name of the trust, which is like the property typically.
But you have to do one individually every time?
Yes.
You just file it somewhere, or do you file it?
You don't even file it anywhere.
Really?
That's what makes it easy. There's no filing and there's no expenses. So it's just a Word document, and then you change who the beneficiary is and the benefactor. But all the terms never change. It's
so it doesn't have to be like a business entity or LLC, or just.
So it's like what's in the trust? It's this property address is in the trust.
And that's it.
Yes, and that changes every time. And then who's
I was thinking like a living trust is like so much goes into it.
No, it's super easy. And so once you have the first one, then you never have to have it remade, you literally
Change the name.
change the names yourself.
So you don't have to go downtown to
No.
the courthouse and file it
No.
and fund it.
And I think he charges like $300 for that first one. And so I tell people don't do it until you need it, obviously. But it's, yeah, I use Ron Ballard. He's in Orange County. If you guys want to write his name down, he's really awesome. I also have the trust with my system.
I have a listing appointment at 4:30.
Oh, okay, so you want me to keep going?
No, so,
Yeah.
so, but do you have any brochure or something, because I have to read.
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
I'll give you my email.
Okay.
Okay, my email is support@cashcowknowhow.com. So I'm not really online, you guys can't find me anywhere. I just do real estate. I used to be online when I was doing the speaker stuff a lot. I didn't like traveling, I didn't like being flooded with the phone calls, I didn't, you know, like I liked helping people, but it was really taken away from my business and my personal life, so I've really taken it back.
When you're cherry picking of properties,
Yeah.
do you have a tendency to want to take properties that have need a very little rehab, or does it really matter on the amount of rehab?
Both. Personally, I like a lot of rehab. I think they're fun.
Wow.
So it's yeah. I like little rehab. I like a lot of rehab. I like, it's the ones that I feel most confident in. So the one I sold to Van Merrill, I was considering keeping for myself. But there was about 1,000 square feet that was added on that was very obviously not done to code. I mean, it was horrible. Somehow it was permitted. So on record, it was permitted. You walked through the house and you're like, it was cinder blocks, and the electrical was running on the ceiling and on the side of the walls, and then the bathroom had a window going through to the living room that was sunken in. It was so weird, and we couldn't get any of the water to work, and it was such a crazy day when I showed up there after we got it. The cops were there. They had been, the family that had owned it after the father died was having a hard time because the homeless people had been living there and they couldn't get them out. And the cops showed up because once they finally got them out, there were like 50 guns in the property, and they didn't know if the guns had been used in criminal activity, so they couldn't touch them because then they had to be fingerprinted. It was nuts. And so I was like, you know what, this one's a little
Scary.
not comfortable. So I didn't take that one. I projected, I'm trying to remember what the numbers were now. I think I projected that it could be sold for like $410. They ended up selling it for like $440. So they made $100,000 on that flip. I remember.
So when you do the rehab, do you feel like you physically need to be there to make sure that rehab's done properly? It's not a remote thing?
I do.
Yeah.
But I have a controlling personality.
Well, I think it's best if you are.
Here's the thing, that client, the client I talk about that is in Oregon and does stuff in Tennessee, she rehabs properties and she's not there. She's not there. She did them in, she used to have a bunch of investment properties in Oregon, and I think she had over 100. And when the market fell apart, she ended up losing a lot of them because loans wouldn't renew. And so then she got into wholesaling, and then she started keeping some of the better properties and started rehabbing them 100% remote.
She never flies out there.
Wow.
And she's working with a handful of agents and a handful of contractors. It's not the same team, it's a bunch of teams because they're doing 5 to 10 deals a month. Yeah, so like, I think she has bigger balls than me. But like the whole thing is like anybody, like you guys can do this, you can do it anywhere, like however you want it to look is totally possible. Yeah.
I had one more question on the, so you assign the deal and it turns out that the buyer is going to go and do his own due diligence. He's going to find
Yes.
out that it turns out that it's a money pit. It's got a rotting foundation. And he decides to back out. Does everybody backs out?
So
or?
then what happens with that, so say we didn't realize, like the agent walked the property and missed it, and
Sure.
he's like, hey, that's not, I can't handle stuff
You
like
gotta knock
that.
the house down or something.
Yeah, we do one of two things. We go to the other people that were tentative backups and say, hey, so we just discovered this, are you still interested in the property? And if we hear yeses, then great, we just move on with that. Or if we hear, not really, it's like, great. Where would the price have to be for you to want it?
Okay.
So, and we asked the first guy that, and he's like, I would take it for 20 grand less. Or, we get a number, and then we go to the bank and we're like, hey, so we messed up. We didn't see the rotting foundation, it wasn't disclosed.
Sure.
When we when we were
So you
doing
could
your
still salvage
paperwork.
it possibly.
We want the deal. It's gonna take 20 grand more than we originally budgeted. You take 20 grand less. So we totally try and renegotiate, and it works about 50% of the time.
Okay.
So it's hard when we have multiple offers, and they're like, oh, well, the next idiot will take it. So,
Yeah.
and then sometimes they're like, you're totally right. Nobody's gonna pay. So it's really hit and miss with banks. It's kind of, we don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, we will work that deal till they won't talk to us anymore. Yeah.
What percent are banks and what percent are just the homeowners?
So right now, a lot of it, I would say 50% is standard sales.
Homeowners?
Yeah, just,
And aren't those easier to work with?
yes, definitely working with a normal homeowner is much easier than banks. 2 years ago it was all banks, it was all short sales. And now it's much more of a normal market with normal sellers. And they're all good to work with. I work with them all. So submitting yes offers, these are where we get accepted 95% of the time. Like I said, it's really clean offers. So part of this is no contingencies. We don't have appraisals or inspection periods. And a normal agent that's used to working with normal buyers will put all of these stipulations in to protect their buyer. We are not a normal buyer. Our buyer, our investor, is not a normal buyer. He's buying, some of the big ones are buying 100 deals a month. People are freaking nuts. If they say they want to buy something, they've already done all their due diligence, they're buying it. They don't need to go and wait. It's the guys that are only doing a few a year that are really like nervous and anxious because it's kind of like their life savings. But these huge investment firms that are doing a ton, when they run their numbers, everything checks out, they buy it, they know they're buying it. So we don't need all these inspections, contingency clauses, or appraisals. Never lowball, I already talked about that. Use the Easy Deal software, we already talked about that. So this is 7th Street, this is another deal, this is a half day's effort, this is another one. So this is listed in the MLS
Can
for.
you go back one slide really quick?
Oh, yeah,
I just wanted to take a picture.
Yeah.
Just because
take a picture.
this is a big one.
Remember, it's on video.
Oh, okay. Sorry, thanks.
Yes.
That's what I want to do about that. Yeah.
Now, with your, no contingencies, you're talking about working with investors that are very confident, all that. But how about if you're working with a guy that only does a few a year?
I would make sure ahead of time that he's still confident in buying the property. Because here, at the end of the day, you need to work with people that are gonna buy the property, because if they back out at the last minute, it looks bad on you.
Right.
So it really comes down to just working with people that are going to buy the property.
So even though you have that 17-day window, you.
So
don't-
technically, yeah, you don't need to add in a lot of other states, it's a blank, and it says how many days you wanna leave, how many days you want for a contingency
Right.
period. In California, we're really lucky, it's automatically 17 days, so I just don't touch anything.
I see, so you have the 17 days.
So you
just don't
technically
ask
have
for
the
it.
17 days, like, it's almost like, so here's the thing, and when you're working with standard sellers, it's super easy. When you're working with banks, it's a lot more difficult, but it's also easier to get better deals for what you want, because they don't really know what's going on. So one bank may be working with 1,000 properties in 50 different states. Every state is a different contract. Everyone has different problems, different rules, stuff that's written up. So in the California contract, there's like stuff that buyers and sellers would pay for, would be natural hazard, disclosure, HOA, city taxes, like all these things. And even Southern California versus Northern California, it's very different what's standard for a buyer or seller to pay. So in Southern California, it's standard for a seller to pay for the natural hazard disclosure, title fees, HOA, a bunch of these fees. Some of those fees are $99. So what we do is we have the buyer pay all of them, like the buyer's buying it. And then we go in where it says like other terms, and it's like the buyer has seen property and accepts it in as-is condition. So what we're saying is we're like, we will pay all your freaking fees. We like the property, we've seen the property, we acknowledge the property's condition, and we're willing to buy it. So we're just, so if the bank's looking at, first of all, they don't know all these little fees with every different state, because California is the one that has the natural hazards for earthquake, fire, and flood. Other states don't have that, so they don't know if that fee is $99 or $5,000, because they don't have every little fee with every different state memorized. All they're doing is they're looking at 10 offers, and they're like, this guy says he'll pay for everything, and he'll close in 10 days, and he's just made it really easy. So the only part we fill out is anything that's going to bring attention to why our offer looks good. So that's why I leave the 17-day thing, because I don't need to bring attention to that. I'm just going to leave that. The other offers may be for $5,000 more, but then they have the seller paying for stuff, and then they want a longer escrow period, and they might want an inspection. They have all these other conditions attached, and they're like, this guy's easy. Let's sell it to him. It's a little bit less money, maybe. Look at all these people want us to pay fees. Then they have to go and calculate how much the fees are. Well, our fees were only $250. So still, at the end of the day, we're winning, right?
Real quick, when you say like on your contract, it'll say we accept it as is there still some kind of clause that once you assign it, if they find out like you have a sinkhole or something's huge, can you still back out of that?
Right,
deal?
so
Or stuck
accepting
with
it as is simply an acknowledgement that we have seen the property.
Okay.
Because a lot of people tried to get into investing and really left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because they didn't close.
Mhm.
And they were making offers. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. There's investors, they're like, make 100 offers,
Uh-huh.
Right, yeah.
and just lowball, and then they don't even close any. And it's like, it gives a lot of investors really bad reputations, because then they're wasting everybody's time.
Sure.
So we just are letting them know, hey, we've actually been to the property, because we're not just like looking at something on the internet and gonna show up and not want it. Like, the agent's seen the property. Like, make sure somebody's seen the property, right? And the agent's seen the property, and it works. We like it, the neighborhood's good, the problems are good.
REOs.
Yeah.
So the property you're working with banks are REOs,
Oh, yes.
okay? It's been my experience in some places, there's only one thing the bank wants on an REO, and that's their asking price, and if you're not gonna give it to them, you're just gonna wait till they get it.
So, yeah, sometimes they're difficult.